So I often get asked whether humans could, by natural selection and evolution, evolve to be better, for example, in terms of controlling and respecting the environment, and would this be, for example, the solution to the climate change? And I'm afraid to say that I think if we are going to wait for evolution to sort us out, this planet's gone. The basic principles of evolution by natural selection, they still hold even in modern society. There was 200 years ago almost the same amount of variation between people in their reproductive output as there is in modern days. Small fraction, not a huge fraction, but something between 10% and 20% typically of variation in people's reproductive decisions is explained by the genes that they happen to get from their mothers and their fathers. And then the rest of it is everything else in the society that affects childbearing. And that fraction has hardly changed from early 1700s to modern Finland's. Technology, healthcare, all these kind of cultural inventions that we have, they've surely influenced the course of our evolution. Selection has shifted from who's going to survive and who's going to die in early life more into who's going to have children at all or how many children you have. So what drives evolution in contemporary populations is a little bit different from what it was in our evolutionary past. Still, say 150 years ago, the biggest component, biggest driver of natural selection was infant mortality. So up to half of the children here in Turku archipelago died before age 15, and that's actually very typical for human populations which don't have access to modern medical care. And then in the space of just few decades, when we introduced vaccinations, more hygienic conditions for managing our food and so on, that just transformed so that most of the children nowadays make it to adulthood. What's becoming more and more important is the ever-increasing fraction of our society who actually don't have any children at all. So in countries like Finland and other Nordic countries, up to 40% of the current cohorts are predicted to go childless. Evolutionary processes are very slow, and it takes centuries, it takes many generations before we observe typically changes. What we would need is some trait which is really important for our environment, let's say not flying airplanes, because that's one of the biggest things we can do about climate change. Either not wanting to fly airplanes or not able to fly, that being linked to differences in reproductive success. We still need a heritable genetic component in that for that kind of links to lead to the next generation, and I think that's unlikely to appear. I don't think evolution by natural selection is going to solve us. It's going to have to come from cultural evolution means and behavioral changes.